Today I wanted to talk about my experience as a neurodivergent business owner, because us neurodivergents are actually more likely to start a business than the general population. There are a number of reasons why, a number of things we're good at, a number of things that may be a bit harder, and actually today I want to get into talking about them all. Before we get into that, if you don't know me, my name is Lee. I am a leadership and entrepreneurship coach specialising in growing the careers and businesses of people who are neurodivergent. I'm an ADHDer myself. I have a lot of well-intentioned ADHDers kindly telling me that might not be all I have, so I have something that I need to unpack there. But today I want to talk about my experience as a neurodivergent person in the whole in running my personal business. I do have two businesses. I'm a co-founder in one where I have other founders, which is a lot of extra support, but I also have one in which I run solo, and that is my coaching business. And that's the one I actually want to talk about today, because a lot of the times we do go off and start a business on our own because traditional forms of work aren't always built with us in mind. So the business that I'm gonna use the example of today is Through the Noise Coaching, my coaching business. So I'd actually been toying with the idea of starting a business long before I made the jump. I remember I studied a maths degree at university, and as part of it we were able to pick a free choice. And so in one of my modules I took business studies, and we covered the topic of entrepreneurship. And for me that's when the first kind of inklings of this being something I might want to do started to appear. I remember at the time telling a friend of mine about it and that I was interested in it, and he kind of looked at me and went, "I think you have to be a certain kind of person to be an entrepreneur." He didn't need to say that he didn't think that I was it. That was kind of clear based on his tone of voice. So I don't know why at that particular time I just took that at face value. I didn't tell anyone else about it, and I brushed it off and was like, okay, maybe I'm not an entrepreneur person. And it took me the best part of a decade to make my way back here. But I did come back, and I spent a year coaching alongside my corporate role before finally taking the plunge into entrepreneurship. And to be honest, I can say that I actually love it. I think it suits me really well, but it's really, really hard as well. And both those things can be true at the same time. So I'm going to talk to you about all sorts of aspects. I'm trying to get a reasonable balance between the good and the bad, because on balance I do love what I do, but there are pros and cons, as there are with everything. As I was preparing my thoughts for today's video, I kind of realised this was a bigger subject than I originally intended. So I'm splitting this video into two halves. Today's kind of the macro, the big picture stuff of running a business and how my neurodivergence affects it. And then next week I'm going to do a smaller one, which is all to do with the day-to-day running of the business and how on a daily basis my neurodivergence affects me. So with that in mind, what's it like to be a neurospicy entrepreneur? Let's get underway. So to start with, one of the things I really love is the variety. I mentioned I have ADHD. I love that variety. I get dopamine from doing something different. This morning I'm filming YouTube videos. This afternoon I'll probably be doing some editing. Maybe I'll be working on my mailing list. Everything changes. There's so much to do. There's so many things that I'm interested in, and so many different parts of being a business. And you know, I need to be agile. I need to change as things come up. And I love that. My brain thrives on that, and I really enjoy that aspect of being an entrepreneur. In between all these tasks, of course, I'm doing something that I love doing, and that's having an impact on people's lives for the better. I'm helping people grow, I'm helping people achieve things, and I'm really having a positive impact on people's lives. And the fact that I get to do this thing that I really enjoy and have such a positive impact is absolutely huge. Now, doing the same thing has always been a bit of a struggle for me. I definitely remember in corporate life, if I had to work on the same thing all day without calls to break it up or other tasks to switch to, I would be really struggling by the end of the day. So I need that dopamine of switching things up on a semi-regular basis. Not too much, because I'll get overwhelmed, but on a regular basis, having that change of pace that I get through being an entrepreneur, it just gives me the dopamine that my brain needs to keep going, and I absolutely love that. You know, there's so much to do as an entrepreneur that I couldn't focus on just one thing, even if I wanted to. So it's a good job I don't want to. Now, the downside of all of that variety and things to do is that it can be easy to get overwhelmed. ADHDers, we're big picture thinkers. We are great at thinking of the big pictures, but we're not necessarily amazing at prioritizing all the time. And sometimes I get into that ADHD paralysis where I have so many ideas and so many thoughts of what to do, but I don't know where to go next, and I get stuck. I'm really lucky that I have an amazing support network. Through my coach training, I've met so many amazing other coaches there that I can just ring up and be like, hey, I need a little bit of help. And we do the same for each other when each of us gets stuck. And that's really good for helping me, because I'm a verbal processor, work out where I want to go next. Actually, this entire YouTube channel came from one of those such coaching sessions where I was lost. I didn't know what my next move was. I had a chat with one of my coaching friends, and they said to me, let's give it a go, let's do a coaching session on this. Bam, that's where my YouTube channel came from. Sometimes though, the answer is that I genuinely need some how-to information. Sometimes I need someone to teach me because I can't work out the next step on my own at all. This is where things start to get a little bit tricky because there is so much information that if it was just information that we needed, all of us would be successful entrepreneurs. Problem is that it's hard to sort through all this information, and a lot of this information isn't actually neurodivergent friendly. I've definitely wasted more time and money than I care to admit on courses that promised things and actually had good testimonials and everything and just didn't deliver for me. And I left feeling like I was a failure, like it was my fault that they didn't deliver for me. In reality, it's just the way of thinking that came with that course and the way of acting just wasn't right for me, and that's okay. I found other gems out there, ones that do work for me. I suspect quite a few of them are neurodivergent run, but it means that not every course is going to work for you, and it can be quite hard to sift through and find the ones that do work and not end up feeling like a failure when the ones that don't work. Talking of this feeling of failure leads me on to the topic of big emotions, which are a huge part of ADHD for sure, and other neurodivergences as well. It actually seems to be a very common factor. It's not that our emotions are wrong for the situation. It's normal to feel upset or frustrated that something we invested time and money into didn't work out, but the magnitude of us feeling like we're a failure or feeling really upset that it didn't work out, the magnitude is much bigger if you're neurodivergent. The big emotions are probably some of the earliest tells in my eyes that I was neurodivergent, and when I think back to my childhood, my teenage years, I really see the impact big emotions had on me. And this has had an impact into my adult life and my business life as well. When things are going well in my business, I'm on top of the world and I'm telling the people that I love and care about and my friends how excited I am about what I'm doing, and I have so much energy and I get everyone excited with me. When things aren't going well, I'm really low. One of the most common cases where big emotions gets in the way is the rejection sensitivity. Now this is a huge topic, so I'm going to do an entire separate video on rejection sensitivity, but especially in the early days of business, this hit me really hard. Every unsuccessful sales call, every unsuccessful partnership, which is just a part of business, rejection is a part of business, but for me that really hit hard and really would make it difficult to carry on with my day. I'd be lying if I said I'd conquered rejection sensitivity completely. I think it is a fundamental part of me, but I have strategies to deal with it, and I have ways to make it so that it doesn't disrupt my business as much as it once did. As I said, I'm going to do a whole follow-up video to talk about this, but we're going to leave that as rejection sensitivity is one of the hugest things that affects me in my daily business. As with everything ADHD though, there are two sides to this. So the big emotions that leave me struggling some days are the big emotions that shine through when my clients have a win, and I get so excited for them. The best moments are the ones that happen in the session, when my client has that moment of realization. You see the light bulb go off, the grin appear on their face as they realize something they haven't realized before. But the emails that I get between the positive testimonials, they bring me so much joy and make this all worthwhile, even on days when I'm feeling low due to my big emotions being not so great. Another aspect of being an entrepreneur is the learning. You are constantly learning because you have never done anything like this before in your life. And frankly, I love learning, and it's something I've only really realised and embraced about myself recently, that if I get something that I'm interested in, I adore learning more about it. So I get to learn about stuff every day. I get to pick new topics that are relevant to my business that I can dive into in depth and scratch that learning itch. Even topics that I thought I wasn't interested in at all. I've managed to find little gems, little areas that excite me. I'm also super lucky that I can use this to feed my hyperfixations. When I got diagnosed with ADHD, which was actually after I started my business, I got really hyperfixated on learning more about ADHD and neurodivergence in general, and this business was an opportunity to dive into it, to go down that. One of the things I love is doing YouTube, and I have the opportunity to learn more about that and dive into that as well. Not everything is going to be an interest that I want to dive deep in and learn about. Some things will be mandatory and I just have to learn about them anyway, but it's amazing that I get the opportunity to dive into the things that are interesting to me as well. So actually, that's the note that I want to end the video on. I have mentioned challenges, a lot of them to do with rejection sensitivity, big emotions, how difficult it can be to do this on my own, but the learning that I get to do, the positive responsiveness of the people I coach, and the ways in which I get to grow makes it all worthwhile for me, because I actually love being an entrepreneur. I didn't realize how much I'd enjoy it, and so this is worth it for me. Yes, it's hard sometimes, but it's also super rewarding, and I'm completely happy with my decision of where I am right now. Now, as I said at the start, this doesn't cover everything. I actually want to do a kind of day-to-day, what it actually looks like having neurodivergence when running a business, but I wanted to give a big picture overview of what it's like with entrepreneurship as a whole for me personally. If you like this video, please hit subscribe, give me a thumbs up, that's always really helpful. Leave me a comment, let me know if any of this resonated with you, and if you'd like a coach to help you through your own business journey, you can go to my website ttncoaching.com to find out a little bit more about that. Please hit subscribe if you haven't already, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Thank you very much for watching.